Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. I said that I would start getting back into streaming regularly, and that is exactly what we're going to do. I just got done on Twitch, letting the people know on Twitch what will be coming up and, the videos that they will be able to see on there. And this one, as I said, is for you guys because I promised that we would do that. So, Michigan beat Wisconsin. This is the much longer version, and we're also going to be reacting to the AP poll. So Michigan won yesterday, 24-10, after coming off of the win against Nebraska, 30-27. They were able to play at home, and they were able to beat a 2-2 Badgers team. Now, honestly, guys, this is what I expected. Like I said, I'm not surprised that they won. I didn't think at all Wisconsin was going to win. Wisconsin has been rebuilding for a while, and they're not as good as they used to be. Like, you go back maybe 6-7 years, and okay, maybe Wisconsin would be up there, and maybe I could see them beating Michigan, but not this team. I will, though, admit that I'm not as high on Bryce Underwood as a lot of people. I know, you hear Michigan fans, oh, he's a true freshman. He needs time. I mean, this is not Jim Harbaugh. Which, again, I didn't like Jim Harbaugh. The guy was a clown. He tried to be Bo Schembechler, and he wasn't. But, I reserve the right to change my opinion, but I'm not too high on a true freshman. I need to see more of what he can do. I need to see him when he starts playing teams like Oklahoma again, which that's the only loss that we have so far. We're playing USC this upcoming week, and that's a tough team. I need to see what Bryce Underwood can do in tough situations against top tier schools, because Wisconsin is not a top tier school. But yeah, the game, it wasn't really ever close after the second quarter when they went up 10-7. The game was pretty much over after that. I know Wisconsin scored early; they went up 7-0, and then Michigan just ran away with it. But yeah, the game was not at all competitive. It was not enjoyable to watch. And it was one of those games where pretty much like you knew what was going to happen because this is Michigan football. People talk about, well, they've outscored opponents like 140-71, and even still, though, you look at the schedule so far. They beat New Mexico. Okay, they were supposed to beat New Mexico. They lost to Oklahoma. Of course they did. I was not surprised by that. They blasted Central Michigan, but they're a MAC school, and you're supposed to beat MAC schools because MAC schools are basically like bottom of the barrel. Unless you're UMass football, UMass is the worst, and good thing they're not playing them. And then they beat Nebraska, and then they beat Wisconsin. Like I said, 3 wins in 4 wins in 5 games it's good, but I need to see more from them. Are they going to beat USC? They very well could. I don't know if they will. I know that USC is favored. I know that I think they're favored going into that game, which, again, what can you say? People are high on them. I'm not as high because I don't like Sherrone Moore. I don't think that Sherrone Moore is a very good head coach. I know that he was hired because Jim Harbaugh left. And yeah, you look at the season overall. I mean, we started off, like I said, beating New Mexico. Okay. That was a pretty good win, but again, not competition at all. You were supposed to win that. You lose to Oklahoma, you lose to an SEC school, and Oklahoma right now is arguably probably the best SEC school, but knowing how they are, they always seem to fall apart. Just when you think that they're going somewhere, they end up, just completely just losing. I know last year they started off they started off 4-1. They beat Temple, Houston, and Tulane. Okay. Then they lost to Tennessee, and they beat Auburn, and then after that, they just completely just fell apart. But hey, that's what Oklahoma has done since Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops left. They haven't been at all good. And you look at them this year, they beat Illinois State, they beat Michigan, Temple, Auburn, and Kent State. Okay, like not at all good teams. They're playing Texas in the Red River rivalry this week, but yeah, do I think Michigan's going to make the playoff? No, because right now you look at it, you have Indiana, who I think people are rating a lot higher than they should be. I know Kurt Signetti has done very well for them since he left JMU, James Madison. Turned a team around that had like 3 wins, and now I think they're the new Penn State, or people are saying they're the new Penn State. You have Ohio State there, and you have Oregon, who are the 2 best teams, probably going to be the 2 teams that will meet in the Big Ten championship. I know last year Ohio State did not make the Big Ten title game because they lost to Michigan, and they lost to what was its name? They lost to Michigan, and they lost to Oregon, and Penn State made it, but Penn State has fallen off. So yeah, then you look at Illinois. Illinois, I don't think is the real deal. And then you see everybody down there: Wisconsin, Purdue, Rutgers, Michigan State. I forgot that they were still a team. UCLA, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Maryland, and Northwestern. Surprisingly, this year Northwestern's doing pretty good. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about the game. It was boring, and I was a little bit bored watching it. Hopefully next week will be more exciting against USC. But let's get into the AP poll here, the one that came out today. So let's take a look at this. So we have Ohio State number 1, number 2 Miami. I know people are saying that Ohio State should be ranked behind Miami, but they're the defending national champions, okay? Until they lose a game convincingly, they should be number 1. My rule is when you win the national title, you should be ranked number 1 the next season, unless you're just really that bad of a team. You know, Ohio State should not have been ranked where they started. Where did they start? They started ranked number 3 in the nation, and then they beat Texas to ascend to number 1, and they've been there since. But you know, they were always. I think that was always going to be the thing because, you know, they basically they're trying to convince people that the Big Ten is not that good. They don't want people to like the Big Ten. They don't want people to cheer for them because, you know, they love the SEC, folks. They do. They love the SEC. And they're trying to convince you that Miami should be number 1. Miami is fine at number 2, which is kind of funny that the top 2 teams are a Big Ten school and an ACC school, and then number 3 is Oregon. When all ESPN talks about is how good the SEC is, why are the top 3 teams Big Ten and ACC? Guess the SEC this year's slop. But yeah, Miami. Honestly, though, Miami's schedule hasn't been all that impressive. They beat Notre Dame. Okay, that's a quality win. You beat Notre Dame. Anytime you beat them, it's quality. Then they beat like Bethune Cookman. They beat South Florida. They beat Miami and Florida State. Now they beat Florida and Florida State. So, you know, they finished all the. I don't think they've left Florida yet. No, they haven't. They were at home against Notre Dame, at home against Bethune Cookman, who's in Florida. They beat South Florida at home. They were home against Florida, and they were at Florida State. They don't leave the state until SMU. Yeah, that's the first time that they leave all year. The state is against Southern Methodist University. But Oregon, number 3, I think they were off this week. No, yeah. Were they off this week? I think that they were off this week. Yes, they were. They've beaten Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern. They haven't been challenged at all. By the way, Ohio State beat Minnesota. Not surprised there. Before Ole Miss, they were not what people think that they are. They were a mess too. Texas A&M. So you have 2 SEC. You have 3 SEC schools here. You have Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. They were just waiting for Ohio State, Miami, or Oregon to fall. Once they do, those schools are going to move up. They're going to catapult them ahead because, again, they love the SEC now that they broadcast the games on ESPN and the Big Ten doesn't do that anymore. Indiana, number 7. I think they're going to lose to Oregon this week. If they do, you're going to see them fall. Because it's funny how they beat Illinois. When Illinois was like 9th, they fell to 22nd. Now they're back up to 17th. But I think Indiana's overrated. You have Alabama in 8th, of course, because they love Alabama. But I'll tell you this, there's one school they love better than the SEC, and that's Notre Dame. But because they have 2 losses, they can't justify putting them ahead of them. You have Texas Tech in 9th, and this year, folks, the Big 12 is slop. It really is. The Big 12 this year is not a good conference. The only reason that Texas Tech is up here is because they're 5-0 and they've barely played anybody good. And Iowa State has completely fallen off. You have Georgia at 10 and LSU at 11. Remember earlier in the year when they were talking about how good LSU was? And then LSU lost and Georgia lost. And now they're 10th and 11th. They have Tennessee in 12th, of course, because, they got to have those SEC teams all lumped together. Then you have Georgia Tech, who's actually surprisingly done well this year. They're 5-0, and they keep winning. They might be one of the dark horses to make the college football playoff. I think Ohio State's a lock. Oregon's a lock so far. Miami, if they win out, they'll definitely be in. Missouri, watch them against Alabama this week. I want them to beat Alabama. You have Michigan in 15th. Again, I think Michigan's going to finish with 3 losses. They're not making the playoff. Notre Dame at 16. Coming off of a whooping of Boise State, but again, it's Boise State, and they just beat Purdue as well the week before. So, Illinois 17th. BYU is making some noise this year. I'm surprised at how well they've done. Watch for them. Virginia 19. I don't think Virginia will last that long. I think that they're going to lose. Who does Virginia play this week? Let's see if Virginia plays this week. I can't remember the last time they were ranked. Oh, okay, they play Washington State. Yeah, they're gonna win that. They don't have that tough of a schedule actually. They have Washington State, North Carolina, California, Wake Forest, Duke, and Virginia Tech. They could actually appear in the ACC championship game against Miami this year. That could be quite interesting. Vanderbilt 20th, 21 Arizona State, Iowa State. Memphis probably be the group of 5 team, although Navy is 5-0. If Navy keeps winning, they could be ranked, although they do have to play. I think they play Notre Dame this year, right? Do they play Navy this year, Notre Dame? I believe that they play Navy. Yes, they do. Coming up soon. Oh, no, never mind. They don't play USC this week. They play NC State. They're going to win that. They have South Florida 24th, and then Florida State fell after they got completely drubbed by Miami. They fell to 25th. So, yeah, then others receiving votes: Cincinnati, Texas, Penn State. Remember the 1 and the 2 ranked schools at the beginning of the year? Yeah, they're unranked now. Utah, Nebraska, USC, UNLV, North Texas is 5-0, but they're an American athletic school. That's why they don't care about them. TCU, Mississippi State, Washington, Navy, Louisville, and Auburn. And I think that this is the first time the 2 teams have fallen this high since I know one of them was Ohio State. I think this was in like 1960. I think it was like Ohio State, and I think it was like Northwestern back in like the 60s or so. But yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the first playoff rankings of the year, and we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, looking at this, Indiana should not be ranked in the top 10. They're a joke. Ole Miss should not be this high, but I get why they are. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys this time. But thank you all for listening. And tomorrow we're going to start the history of college football on this channel, and I'm really excited to get that started. And we'll also be covering the American League and National League Division Series. I know that Game 2 is just wrapped up, so we will be covering that. And then over on Twitch, we will be doing MLB time caps on there, and we'll be when college basketball comes back, we'll be doing that on that channel. And I hope to grow both. If you like what you see on here, be sure to like and subscribe. Drop by, say hello to me. I always like interacting with people because that's what content creators, I believe, should do, is interact with their audience. So leave a comment in YouTube videos or on Twitch, which you want to see. I'll try my best to do them. And I hope to see you all again really soon. So thank you all.